do want to start over something that happened this weekend. We heard President Biden in a speech in Poland actually say that Russian President Vladimir Putin, quote, cannot remain in power. It has, kind of started a lot of conversations internationally. I wanted to get your reaction to that and any potential consequences you think those words can have in the Russian and Ukrainian war that's happening right now.
Right, right. Well, I think it's very damaging, and we saw from this trip that was supposed to be, the president's foreign policy foundational statements about the war in Ukraine and the U.S. commitment both to NATO and to allies and to deter Russian aggression. And you saw these number of missteps where the administration constantly had to come out and say, well, he didn't really mean that, regardless of like, those were the words he was using when he was talking to, for example, soldiers, in language that appeared to say that they were headed to Ukraine. He goes, what you'll see there, and of course, they're not going to Ukraine. And he did a couple of analogies that were misplaced when the Ukrainians, at perilous risk of their life, came to meet with him in Poland. He compared their commute to his trip home from the Senate to Delaware because he was on the train. These types of analogies are don't show empathy. They actually show a lack of recognition of the seriousness of what's going on. But I think what we may have seen there was a brief glimpse from the president as he's standing there giving this. It's supposed to be this very foundational speech, being sort of carried away by the overwhelming evidence and views that he has seen of the consequences of what Vladimir Putin is doing in Poland. He saw the effects of the refugees. He spoke personally with the Ukrainians and had them relate to him the extent of the destruction and the despair that's there. So this spontaneous statement apparently was not written in his speech itself, is damaging in that, how does he in the future sit with Vladimir Putin, where he's called for him to be removed? And it makes it more complex to try to end the conflict in Ukraine. Our goal is to get Russia out of Ukraine and to end that conflict. It's not regime change. It is not a position against Russia. In fact, we've been very clear as the United States to try to say this is not a U.S. Russia conflict, but nonetheless, the conflict needs to end, and we will support Ukraine in trying to bring an end to it. So it's certainly troubling, and I think it's been very difficult for the administration to try to walk back, but it does have impacts that are not positive.